Hello everyone, hi, it's me Giffyglyph. Welcome to Social Encounter, a little D&D stream where I sometimes talk about D&D. How is everyone doing today? Wait, what the fuck is up with my webcam? Hang on. Okay, let's fix a couple of these things. Camera is doing stuff, which it shouldn't be doing. So, on the docket today, we've kind of got Dread First Draft has been out and released, so we're probably going to have a brief talk about that, where that's at, where that's going, and the intended, I guess, release date for the final version of that, which is hopefully coming soon. Darker Dungeons 4.0, what's kind of going to be in that. And then some of the other projects that are kind of on the list, namely Foundry. Right, that's kind of like the big thing that everyone's kind of talking about and asking for, so I'm going to give it to them. Oh, hey Mickey, how's it going? What's a rune word and where's my fillable trial sheet? Basically, my entire writing process is just trying to find ways to not give you a form fillable trial sheet. I'm just going to find any kind of opportunity to like chuck stuff in and distract from that premise. No, so the fillable trial sheet is going to be in Darker Dungeons 4.0, or at least that, and the form fillable, I think there was like an adventure sheet that someone was kind of asking for, so possibly that, which is going to be like, ooh, the thing. Or at least temporary measures until I get the website overhaul done and I can get the tools working and redone. Which is going to be, ooh, whoa, that's way too exposed, what the fuck? Okay, there we go, that's better. Bit better. Yeah, there we go. Sure, forehead glare, why not? Okay, let's go with that. Anyway, so where are we going? Let's move you. Oh no, you're screwed. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay, I'm nestled. It's fine. So yeah, Dread, done, out, released. Oh, hey Ripper, how's it going? Hey Thaumaturge, I'm in the middle of a game right now. Oh wow, oh cool, what, like a D&D game? That is hardcore. I can't even remember what it's like to play D&D anymore. Okay, there we go. Final Battle of Humblewood. What is Humblewood? Okay, sure. White balance, that's what I'm missing. Okay, yeah, we want to go a bit more pink. Yeah, there we go. Right, okay, there we go. We're back. We're fixed. We're very red. What is going on there? Sorry, I haven't paid attention to my computer kind of all day, and now I'm paying the price for it. What a shocker. Posted the fillable journey in the Discord a while back. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I definitely did not completely forget that or do anything of the sort with that. So this month, February is basically the month where I kind of like I want to get easy downloadable links for all of that kind of content and get all that in place because it's been neglected for far too long. Not dead, had a PC breakdown crying last session. It was great. See, this is something I feel like I'm lacking in this. Like I've never made a player break down and cry. I kind of feel like I'm lacking. Maybe no one should be listening to me about D&D stuff. Yeah, how did you manage that? Is it because you blew up all their fun toys? That's usually a way to do it. Right, let's just fucking focus this webcam properly, and then we can get on with some stuff. Okay, there we go. More natural. Right, okay. Let me know if the music is too loud or too quiet or whatever. I mean, it's just in the background anyway. So, good. We're good to go. Right. So, this week, Dread. Boom, done, released. It's exactly as Mickey would have expected it to be. It's right on point. This is like straight from Mickey's mouth, completely unchanged. Mickey's favourite mechanic. So let me just bring up the rules and we can just have a little chat about them. Fillable inventory, expanded page, and journeys. If you're, ooh, that might be quite sweet, actually, Mickey. Yes. Yeah. Let me. Once I need to collate the list of like exactly what I need to. What's the word? Update, basically, and yeah. Then I might just kind of get you to do all that work for me if that's super cool with you. It's just the worst. Hey Sweatshop, how's it going? Yeah, okay, here we go. Right, let's talk about Dread for a brief bit because I'm on stream and I've got to do that. So, Dread is a system originally proposed by Mickey and completely butchered and transformed by me into something completely different, right, that shares only the name. Other than that, it's exactly the same. So Dread in Dark Dungeons is basically a way of, what's the word? It's kind of mechanization of dungeon actions or lair actions or that kind of system, right? Where you are able to now take the role of a big bad, you know, an evil god, or not an evil, like an opposing god, an opposing kind of archdevil or fiend or whatever, right? You know, you can take the role of one of these and basically while as the players are like exploring a dungeon or, you know, doing a quest or whatever, you now have power, as in Dread, to kind of counteract the players, right? To like create complications for them, to enhance your sort of like attacks against them. There's like a whole system of like stuff you can do with this new resource, right? So the first version of this kind of has basically just all the rules in order to do that in the classically over elaborated expanded text that I tend to do things in. So the first version of that seems to have gone okay, like no big what's the word, hey GIF, you fucked up on X, Y, and Z's. So assuming that it's all kind of okay, there's a couple of things I need to expand on, sort of influences in particular, and ways for players to kind of research and what's the word, learn a little bit more about potential dreadful complications before they kind of enter a dungeon, etc., etc. So that's going to be in the second draft, and after that I think it's pretty much done. Actually, no, it's not done. The main thing that is going to like slow me down here is coming up with these effect packages, which is super tedious. I hate doing this kind of content. So I'm probably going to do 3 of these in total as examples. We've got like spooky consequences, we're going to have the butcher consequences, and probably like abyssal or infernal or something to kind of just as a third option, right? Maybe one of those. And then over time, if like I want to expand those, it's very easy with like next future updates to kind of like just drop in another package, etc. So yeah, so that's kind of Dread. That's going to be the main feature for Dark Dungeons 4.0. Yeah, along with some minor tidy ups and typos that I've kind of spotted here and there, hopefully. So yeah, that's the big thing. Look forward to that. So there was another thing that was kind of mentioned in the Discord today. I just saw just before I kind of logged on, talking about rune words. So we might just have a little browse about that, or a little chat about that, because rune words. What's the words? Item. What's the word? Customization feature. Akin to arcane jewels, which I think were a DD 3.0 feature. So rune words we'll probably talk about briefly, because there's a very rules light way of doing these that kind of parallels what I was doing with arcane jewels. Not the player, but the player's character. Ah, okay, alright. Basically, everyone calling them out and checking out with the Dark God, not trusting them with even more power. Hey, there you go. Yeah, that stuff's kind of good. When you get, like, emotional investment from a player character, that's pretty good. On the other hand, I've been running OG Dread, and it's been amazing. Yeah, how's that kind of, like, working out in your game? I mean, it is exactly like that. Son of a bitch. So yeah, because yeah, Mickey for Dread, Mickey kind of runs it as basically anti-inspiration, if I remember rightly. You can kind of like acquire it, but it's per person, right? So it's a choice they kind of make to gain this Dread, and then at any point the DM can kind of like, boom, I'm activating that Dread. Unless I've mistaken that for something else. How much are you getting in royalties? Got my feelings hurt. That's a Giffy guarantee, obviously. Can't wait for more Dread. Seems pretty fun to implement. Yeah, Dread is like as a feature, and kind of I spoke a little bit about this. This is kind of untested, so we are now in the domain of untested live mechanics at the moment. Like, this is purely theory crafted. Because I'm not running any games, sadly, at the moment, because it's all online, and I hate online. So, I'm hoping it's okay. A lot of what Dread is, and is mechanically, is kind of based on what I've been looking for as a DM, kind of, in the way I run games. What I felt was missing without really even knowing it. So, hopefully, Dread is going to be useful and balanced and correct. But we're going to kind of see that over time. My players actually love it. Some fear it, others are like, ride it. What's the hard mode version? Oh, you just mean like with Dread, right? So do you just to kind of dive in? Do you what's the word? Create Dread? Oh, correction. Does the GM create Dread, or is it all player choice? Yeah, so how does this kind of work in your system, Mickey? Is like, do you just have the opportunity to create Dread on players, or is it all just like they choose to gain it as consequences? Looks very cool, even if Mickey blamed me for saying that. Look, this is not a Giphy stream, right? If we're not turning the cult against itself, right? Playing an Ice Maiden soon. Going to be fun if the GM says he's going to amp up the environment. Oh, okay, this is sweet. This is what I do like to see. The environment is so very easy to overlook as a character, right? A large part of why features like hunger and like the survival conditions chapter in Darker Dungeons exists primarily to make the environment a bit more of a character, potentially. Dread, in a way, also exists now to help the DM, I guess, in character, act as the environment, you know. The environment, in this case, being something under the control of the big bad, right? The GM is military. Hannah said he will run enemies with tactics if it's appropriate. Okay, interesting. I mean, that's good, I guess. See, this is always... I'm always in two minds about this because... alien races should have alien tactics. So this is something that is like... I fall into the trap of myself a lot as well when I'm kind of running games, is... when you kind of try and think tactically, a lot of the times we just think tactically as humans, right? Oh, okay, you know, the archers are going to fire in the back and then the soldiers are going to like slowly move forward and boom, boom, boom. But actually, like, different races might have very different tactics, right? Because some races are a lot more expendable, I guess. So you know your tactics are gonna vary depending on what you are. You know, kobolds, for instance, might have very different combat tactics to humans generally, right? So that's always a trap that I kind of fall into a lot. Or I have to try and keep in mind to think around and think outside of. So in the last dungeon there was ambient dread where they would receive one at the start of every floor, but the players can also receive them as a penalty for failing trials, taking it as cost of success. Ah, perfect, yeah. Yeah, so this was, I think, yeah, I remember talking about that kind of, you gain dread like as a kind of cost, right, for entering a particular space or whatever, is a really nice way to do it. I remember we spoke about that. That's something that, in a way, I'm kind of sad to lose in you know, the Giphy edition of Dread, because now we don't really have that choice where it's like, hey, okay, if you go in here, you're going to gain a shit ton of like bad stuff. Kobolds are pure rush in, die and repeat. Yeah, exactly, definitely. Like races like that, that's kind of how we should run them really tactically. Or we should be thinking of, like I say, just non-human methods of behaviour, even in races that are kind of like human adjacent, you know, like elf and dwarf. It's a real, what's the word? I try to remind my players as often as I can that their character is a tiefling, not a human, or a dwarf, not a human. So I kind of want them to dive and delve into what that means a little bit more a lot of the time. For me, it's important that dread is a player resource because it's their dread. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think like your interpretation of it is really sweet. It's just not complicated enough for me. You know, I needed something really that would fill 10 to 15 pages of content, and yours was like too efficient. That's basically like a one-page rule set. It's like I can't bloat that out, Mickey. Like what am I supposed to do with that? It's too elegant, you know. So I had to transform it. Yeah, I've got a word count, right? It's not a Giphy mechanic if it doesn't take 25 pages to tell you the rules for it. It's why I like the Immortals of D&D. They play chess moves over thousands of years. They do a tactical move one day and then nothing for 300 years. Yeah, I kind of like, I agree with this. I agree with the flavour of this, and it's like, you know, ooh, elves, right, should have very different kind of tactics, because they live for thousands and thousands of years in D&D, or in Forgotten Realms, right? But at the same time, I find that very hard to do as a player, right, or even as a GM, because, yeah, how are you supposed to make that visible in-game? It's like, oh, I did this thing, but you're not going to notice the consequences of this for literally 300 years because that's how long I think. We can't do it, right? It's so... You almost need a system in D&D, or like where like you can use microscope in a way to show what the impact of this move that you've done right now, how that's going to ripple 300 years in the future. Actually, that would be pretty sweet. Okay, can we... Temporal consequences. How do in D&D? Ooh, okay. So there'd be a thing, right, where it's, you do a move and then you get like a little scene where you can see, how would that work? How would that work? I mean, it would have to be narrative, not mechanical. Let me come back to this. This is, it'd be kind of fun to dive into. Oh, hey, Timothy. How's it going? Is that a large cup of wine? Oh, no, this is not wine. This is just Coke. If I had this much wine, I would literally die. I'm not a big wine drinker. Or boozer generally, sadly. Especially in lockdown, right? My tolerance is just whoosh, plummeted. Yeah, I tend to, like, Coke tends to be my drink of choice. I'm really, really bad for drinking lots of Coke. How you doing, Timothy? That's why I hate scrying. Something mundane. I always do a Hollywood scry. Yes, definitely. Yeah, always go big cinematic. Big Hollywood, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like when I'm running D&D, most times if I do anything in that game, it's got to be relevant and important. You know, I don't really do random encounters very often, or just like purely random encounters, because I want them to be relevant and what's the word? They have to be meaningful to the game. So it's the same. Like if someone does a scry and I know there's going to be like no value in it, I will just step over the screen and be like, you can do that, but it's not gonna. It's really not gonna see anything. So we don't really need to waste game time doing that. Doing well, man. Good session last week. It ended on a great cliffhanger. Oh, cliffhangers are really fucking good. I love a session that ends on a great cliffhanger. Yes. That's, to me, this is a key part, key part of being top tier. I want to say top tier GM. Figure out how to deliver a cliffhanger every session. There we go. Listen to. Oh, Final Fantasy 9. Okay. Oh, 11. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, cliffhangers are like so important, right? I always try and make sure. Another reason, also within game, when splitting the party. Cliffhanger every session. I'm not DMing it for again. Well, I mean, that's just going to put you in the scrub tier, right, Mickey? Sorry, you're just not top tier. I mean, that's basically what we've just said, right? If you're not doing it every session, well, kind of. So this to me is like a really important thing, and I see a lot of DMs very often kind of misstep on this when splitting the party, right? So, you know, very often, sometimes players will want to do two things at once. These guys want to go down here, or these guys want to go down this route, and blah, 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 right? And then they get into trouble each side or whatever. I see a lot of DMs fail to manage running those two threads at the same time, and a large part of that comes down to the fact that they don't know how or when to cliffhanger. So this is something that I try and do all the time. Anytime the party is split, you have an obligation as GM to wait for a cliffhanger moment, or to create, I should say, a cliffhanger moment within one stream, to pause it, and then switch over to the next stream, right? And then kind of carry on with that one, and then create the cliffhanger and switch back to thread A, and then you kind of like, you keep switching between those two threads as and when, right? Rather than play one thread out until it finishes, then switch to the other one, right? You want to keep juggling these in parallel, and the key point of those is cliffhangers. Super important. The Hollywood Scry has bit me in the arse. I've seen this. Yep. Yep. This is like, it's almost like teleportation and those dumb rules about like, oh, you have to, you can teleport anywhere you've seen. Should be you've seen with your own eyes, right? As a rule writer, that would be the first thing that I put in. You have to see it with your own eyes. It's much like the druid shapeshifting rules. It's like, oh, you can transform into anything you've seen. Well, I've seen it in a book. Does that count? Or, oh, I saw the illusion of one. Does that count? Just say, no, you have to see a real one with your own two eyes. Done. Tried out the revealing of new magic properties. Oh, sweet, yes. Set it up so it could grow with him. Okay, that's perfect. That's absolute. That's spot on. These are kind of like super fun hooks to me, right? I love that kind of stuff. Very often I've like even what's the word? You can super easy create ways to grow a magic item, enhance, infuse, etc. So this is something that I always bear in mind when I kind of put new content in the game is sometimes I don't create like magic loot, I create like components that the players could graft onto existing magic items to grow its power, you know. I think I had, let me just I have an example of this somewhere on the list of stuff. Okay. What am I looking for? Item. The Ring of Healing Surge. There it is. Right. So I think I might have kind of seen this, shown this off before, but this is an example of sort of like the idea of how I sometimes create magic items for my games. I love charged item systems, but I also love player choice item systems. The Ring of Healing Surge here, for instance, I created because we didn't have like a dedicated healer in the party, and I wanted them to have some, opportunity, right, to move around with it, like just to do some healings. Plus, I also like come from 4th edition where healing surges were a big thing. So when I kind of like introduce magic items, what I like to think about is like, oh, okay, here's optional ways that you could upgrade it. I'm not going to necessarily tell you how to grow the item because that's part of like the discovery, right? But I will tell you, hey, you could upgrade the capacity of this, you could upgrade the power of this, and now we're going to discover together how those abilities are going to like unlock. And this is kind of, I find like quite a successful way of delivering extendable content. That's probably the terms that I'm trying to use. Sorry, I'm way behind. Let me catch up. Scrubtier is my home boss. Just me and the real dread. God damn it. I mean, that's going to be such a fun, happy tier to be in. Looper. What's Looper? What did I miss? Project Mechanic, where a caster can push their magic. Think telekinetic. Basically the meta magic options from Sorcerer. Ooh, okay, hang on. You take X amount of damage in return. Thinking of making necrotic. Yeah, so this is often, I would say, the basis of blood magic, right? Blood magic, i.e. paying for spell power in... What's the word? Hit HP. However, easy to use, can be flavorless. Flavorless because of healing magic. So this is what I like. Very often you kind of see these like blood magic systems where you're like pushing magic, right? You know, you want to upcast, but you don't have power. Maybe you sacrifice a resource, typically hit points, to kind of, you know, go beyond that. So what I would recommend if you wanted to kind of do that system is not have the player spend hit points, but rather reduce their maximum hit point until they sort of like take a long rest or something. Because by reducing maximum HP, you kind of force them to like be burning hit points, right? But you also make healing magic not solve the issue. And that's a big thing, right? You don't want to allow players to solve a magic problem through magic. A lot of the times that's kind of the argument I tend to use. So once you kind of switch to just reducing maximum HP, you lose that kind of loop, and that tends to have, I guess, more mechanical balance. Oh, hey, Hides, how's it going? Rune words. The stream should go well with me. Oh, playing Diablo 2. Oh, actually, no, fuck it. Let's just bring it up. I have been playing Project Diablo 2 just on and off, like for an hour or two here and there, just while I was kind of need to like distract myself. I was playing a hardcore necromancer, because hardcore is the only way to play Diablo 2, obviously. I got to hell, Act 2, level 71, fucking wiped, dead, done. Look at it, look at it. Look at Cortex. Fucking... Oh. It's dead. I had so much stuff on that character. So much stuff. I had gajillions of like regeneration potions. Oh. This is killing me. But Summoner Necromancer is obviously best Necromancer. Sick. I think I'll go ahead and steal that. Steal what? Oh, the Ring of Healing Surge. Oh, yeah, go right ahead. This was kind of, again, it was like one of these long-running kind of, like, it was a project I've been intending to get back around to. I think it was Arcane Artifactory was the book that it was going to kind of be, where it was going to have a whole selection of kind of items like this, but... projects, right? I've got to find time for all of these things. Trying to think if there should be a cap to how high they can push, or if it's go as far as you want, but you could pay dearly. So, you could like. Cap at like +1, or exponential cost increase. So this tends to, this very often is kind of what I do with costs a lot, right? It's like it exponentially kind of increases. So like you could lose 10 max HP, then 20, then 40, then 80, right? This kind of like scaling, or like 30, and then, you know, 90, right, etc, etc. For each tier that you kind of push it beyond. Masochist. I know. I don't really know. Like, why did I do that? I didn't have anything to prove. I could have just had a level 71 Necromancer, but I had to be a fucking idiot. And now it's dead. Now it's dead and gone. I want to play Amazon next. Amazonian was the first character in Diablo 2 that I played as a kid, and it was I was awful at it. Hated it. I was like a bow Amazonian, but I didn't really know what I was doing. In fact, I still don't with Diablo 2. Like, the only reason I got to hell was just because I let all my minions kill everything. Haven't played Project D2. Oh, I definitely recommend it. I was only playing it single player for the most there, apart from the one I did on stream, and yeah, worked perfectly. It's just straightforward improvements. I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever go back to playing it normal. Not least because it just works widescreen. It's super good. True, I'm pondering various methods, that way it's not all the same, like maybe sorcery point options, reduce HP, upcasting is a level of exhaustion. Interesting. So, okay, let's have a think of that. So you can only outcast by 5, 6, can't remember how many exhaustion levels there are. You can, but tying, I want to say tying? Tying to exhaustion is, what's the word? I would say makes this super limited, unlikely to be used more than once. AKA Barbarian Frenzy, I want to say. So the main reason for the, and again, this kind of depends on the tone that you want for that feature, right? If you want it to be super rare and a very like risky choice for players, then tying it to exhaustion definitely kind of makes sense there. But if it's a system you want players to engage with more often, exhaustion is a bad option there, because once you get beyond the first tier of exhaustion, it can get very punishing very quickly. It takes a lot for players to want to hit exhaustion 2 or 3 or even 4 willingly, you know. So a way you could do it with that, I guess, is you make it a gamble. So you could tie it to exhaustion as a consequence. It's like, hey, you try an upcast, but you have to roll an Arcana check after you have upcast the spell to see what your punishment is going to be. And depending on if you fail or if you critically fail, you either gain 1 or 2 levels of exhaustion as the consequence for doing that. You're doing better than me. I've never made it to hell. I mean, hell is... getting to hell is pretty easy. Hell itself is like fucking annoying because there's so many like resistances flying around at that point. But did you play much Diablo 2 as a kid? Giffy is stealing my idea. Look, I think we all know the only reason I run these streams is just so I can steal ideas from people. You know, I like to say, hey, it's a way for people to, like, you know, see what I'm working on, or just like have a little chat about what I might work on in future. But it's really just for me to like source ideas and nick it. Yeah, that feels like Dragonlance music, Rastalan. I haven't read any Dragonlance. Is that? I think I saw it, like, isn't. Am I correct in remembering that there's going to be new Dragonlance material? Very much a fan of risk versus reward. Magic feels too safe at times. Oh, I mean, yeah, 5e Magic is like just fucking a waste of everyone's time, right? But you know, we are where we are. Part of the reason why dangerous magic rules exist in Darker Dungeons, to kind of give you that slight twist, a way of kind of creating consequences without necessarily having to go like to exhaustion. But I think I did once actually. I gave up on Act 1 because I couldn't harm any monsters. Yeah, exactly. This was my problem. Like I played the Amazonian, got to hell, and literally couldn't do dick because everything was resistant to physical or like the thing that I'd spec'd into. Nearly failed my GCSEs. Yes. All right. I mean, that's good. That's cool. For me, it was, yeah, Warcraft, World of Warcraft, and my second year of uni. That was bad times. I hope the setting I'm doing has a storm which roams the worlds. Maybe under the cloud with this storm hit by the lightning. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, that's a nice way to mechanically add some variety to Magic. Because yeah, 5e leans too heavily on just letting everyone do magic, which is a real shame. You'll see this in some of the Darker Dungeons changes, and some of the additional features that were in Class Compendium, especially around the wizard and spell books. You know, those kind of little systems there. Party is constantly trying to track the storm and avoid it. That's sweet. That's a really good way of using like the environment to, I guess, to the strength of your world. Current highest level character is an Amazon. Oh fuck yeah, because Amazons are super cool. Put a bunch of points in the first skill, which yeah, that's exactly what I did. I remember doing this. I put everything into magic damage. And then just eventually reached a point where I was doing no damage to everything. Where it was like, it was so little damage, it was kind of meaningless. So I really want to re-experience the Amazon and just see how to make her work properly. Compared to like all these videos about like, you know, you see barbarians just whirlwinding across the map and just like, hey, I killed everything in about 2 seconds. And my dinky little Amazonian is just like firing arrows to just chip damage. Ridiculous. Anyway, sorry, we were something we were going to kind of experience a little bit is like rune words, right? And how we could kind of introduce them into 5e using kind of like existing systems in Darker Dungeons. So let's just bring some of those up, shall we? Giffyglyph, come on down. Okay, so let's just open up the grimoire. We can have a look at. There we go. Okay. So in 3.1, 3.0, whenever I did the crafting rules, arcane jewels came out that were in a way sort of what rune words evolved into when I was kind of writing this system. Basically a way for you to craft a jewel of some kind that effectively confers a feat on your weapon or your item or whatever you kind of socket that jewel into. So initially I was going to do this kind of system with rune words, but rune words ended up being a bit too finicky. I couldn't quite make them as elegant as the rest of Giphy content tends to be, which is to say inelegant. But the basis here, right, is, or with an arcane jewel, is... Ooh, this is looking bad. Okay, so zooming in doesn't work very well. I'm going to have to fix that. So basically, you socket a jewel into a thing, and it gives you effectively a feat of some kind. You know, gaining a certain, like, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3 damage bonus, or switching resistances, or like, etc., etc. So you gain those little things. So rune words, here we go, are kind of like, what's the word? A rune word, what's the word? Ties a feat to an item. So this is like an immediately easy way of you creating content, because now all you have to do is look at the 5e feats. So let's just do that as an example, right? Here we go. 5e tools. I want to have an item, or I want to create a rune word that's going to put athletic on an item. Here we go. So here we go. Athlete, blah, 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 blah. So we know it's going to kind of do this. So now all I need to do is decide what the 3 runes are that are going to be for this, right? So it's like, what are the Diablo runes? Diablo 2 runes. Here we go. So we know we have basically these are our common kind of runes. So now you just have these items that you can drop into the world, or have players find or craft using, I don't know, dwarven crafting knowledge. And now you can just take a feat and decide some combination that is going to create that feat when you, like, okay, so to get athletic, you need Ith, and you need Tal, and you need L, and it needs to be in that order, right? And then the final piece of this is rune word recipes, right? So kind of in like 3 steps, that's basically how you could introduce rune words into your setting, right? As a very loose, what's the word? As a very loose 3-line rule set. Create runes that can be found in your world, you know, of this Diablo 2 variant. Choose a feat, and choose what 3 runes you need to combine onto an item in order to generate that feat. That's it. That's basically it. So finding these recipes is going to be key to this thing, right? You don't want players to just be able to discover all of these things or choose for themselves. So you need to create a recipe that they could find in the world that is going to, like, unlock that knowledge. Grimoire doesn't have the change to stamina checks. Change to stamina checks? I mean, the Grimoire should be up to date with the PDF, unless... that would imply that the PDF is wrong in some fashion. Played with Sentinel is beautiful. Yeah, exactly, right? So once players kind of figure out these recipes, now you kind of get the thing, right? This is the one thing that I really don't like about Diablo 2. And I feel it's lacking. I kind of wish Project Diablo 2 had done fixes for this as well, which is Diablo 2 has all of these runes, but it never teaches you the recipes. There's no way for you to find those out in-game at all. You have to experiment or discover or, like, whatever. But I don't want that. I'm not that kind of player. I want to be able to find recipes and build up that knowledge myself. You know, I want to know how to combine these things, because then it feels like a thing that I've earned during the game, right? I've acquired that knowledge. I haven't just like browsed the Ariat Summit to get it, which is a real shame. DC based on worse condition, not the best. Oh, for survival, yeah, that's true. So this, that's because I haven't made that change to survival conditions yet. I need to think about the full implications of that, and also some other potential tweaks to survival conditions if they're going to make it into 4.0. Probably not, given the amount of stuff I have to get done this month, but that's we're gonna see. Did make a trident ages ago for a session that the party never found. Gave sentinels to the player. Blindness. Oh. Yeah. This is one of my favourite tricks for items. Put a feat on them, or take a class feature and put it on there as well. Hides will remember I kind of, in my last campaign, I gave a dagger action surge, which is like one of the best abilities in the game anyway. Like, it's so much fun. You know, you didn't really have to do anything particularly inventive or creative. Just steal a class feature, put it on an item, and now, ooh, now you have something juicy. Also, the rarest runes just almost never appear as soon as you'll be trained. I mean, Diablo 2 kind of in a lot of ways assumes that, right? Diablo 2 is really multi-player focused. It's really a multiplayer focused. Diablo 2, yeah, just generally. Yeah, Diablo 2... How many more times can I say Diablo 2? Quite a lot. Not as much as Diablo 3, right? Which is just like, okay, you're going to play this multiplayer, and that's the only way you're going to play it. But much like with Skyrim or Fallout or games of that ilk, I really like to play Diablo solo. It's a large part of the grim, dark experience that I am going through that content alone. So yeah, I wish it would, like, it had just better support for that. But who knows? The Fey Warlock teleport and invisibility is beautiful for an item. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So there's like so much content that you can very easily mine for your games that don't require you to really make do anything really really inventive or creative. You can just steal so much from existing classes and the feat system. So that to me is kind of where rune words comes in. You don't need to think of unique lists of properties that these things do. Hey, thanks for the cheer, Mickey. That's super kind of you. 46, the magic number. Ooh. Oh, I fucked this up. I fucked it. Okay, it's back. Excellent. Yeah, so, fuck, what was I saying? I was saying something, and then Mickey completely distracted me with generosity. Fuck. Rune words. That's how you do rune words, basically. Today's stream was sponsored by Diablo 2. Yeah, Project Diablo 2, if you want to just I mean, this is all advertising for you, so like we said before, co-op with friends is great. We're treating it like an MMO. Yeah. I even have this with pretty much any game where I'm supposed to experience or I'm supposed to care about the story in any way whatsoever. Like, even World of Warcraft, right? Quests and all this kind of stuff. If I'm playing with someone, 9 times out of 10, I'm not even going to read the quest because I'm kind of almost pressured, right, to get the game going and get on with the killing and questing and whatever. So my interest or attention to the storyline of what we're doing and why we're doing it just vanishes immediately. It's just like, okay, get on with the game, get on with the game, get on with the game. Rune words are very different than imagine getting distracted by 46 cents. Look, it's not the amounts, it's the generosity, Mickey, and the fact that I get very easily distracted by everything. Fuck, what was I saying? Rune words, that was it. You don't need to come up with a list of unique properties for every combination of like rune word. It's a big waste of everyone's time, you know. Players aren't going to care to that extent about your uniquely fine balanced rune word system. What they are going to care about is getting feats effectively for free, which is a big power boost. So yeah, steal feats, steal class features, put 3 runes on each, or maybe like 2 or 4, depending on the strength of that particular feat. Something like Sentinel, for example, maybe that requires 4 runes, right? Or even 5, right? And they have to be in the specific combination. Or you could make that recipe very hard to find and get. So you have a lot of levers with a system like that as a DM in terms of delivering that content for players to acquire and utilize. Not like Blizzard need the money. World of Warcraft, the infinite money machine, right? I can't believe. I mean, I can believe, but why are there microtransactions in a game you already pay a monthly subscription for? Why? Because no. Should not be content in an MMO that you do not acquire through playing that MMO. That's no. Especially a paid subscription MMO. Sentinel requires a martial weapon. No dagger is stopping anyone. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that kind of stuff you could tie very easily to the recipe as well, right? It's like, okay, this recipe only works on armor of a certain like type or whatever, right? You know, very easy to gate that level of content as and how you want it. Damn it, I want to make a shield with Sentinel now. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, boom. There, done. That's what I mean. Like, I hate... I don't allow feats to be chosen in my games very often, if at all. But what I do... Partly because I don't like giving players that level of customization of their character, because it's min-maxy. I don't really want to... what's the word? Allowing players to choose feats only benefits min-maxes. That's my hot take. GIF. Oh, no worries, Mickey. Have fun. Catch you later. Thanks for the 46 cents. Mwah. Yeah, so I don't really allow players to choose feats. Certainly not by default in my games, because I don't really like that system. But what I do like is reusing that content as, you know, as loot. That's a huge kind of gain for you. Now you don't need to kind of go traipsing through the DMG or like looking for other kind of magic items. Just put this stuff on your items. Just put it. Just done. Oh, you've got a headband that gives you Dungeon Delver when you wear it. okay, Dragonhide, you've got a ring that gives you like a draconic powers, right? That you got by infusing the spirit of fucking Zargoth, the dragon killer, into a ring, right? You know, boom, there you go. Crossbow expert, Sentinel is especially really kind of good. So this is also a way that you can, as a DM, sometimes players, they can get very antsy when you say, okay, there's no feats in this game, you can't choose your feats. And they're like, well, I mean, this is bullshit. The game says I should be able to choose feats. 1, you can't. It's an optional feature. 2, fuck off, right? It's like, get the fuck out of here. But if you can kind of sweeten that negotiation, right? It's like, hey, look, you can't choose them at the start, but you might be able to acquire loot in your games that has some of these properties. Huh? Think about that. So there's, you know, makes that bitter pill a bit easier to swallow. You know, the GM giveth with one hand and taketh away with the other. But gift min-maxing is great. It's I mean, it kind of like it. I'm always in two minds about min-maxing because, you know, as a player, you want to be good at what you do. You know, if you are a fighter, you want to be a fucking good fighter because that's your role in the group. Especially when it comes to combat, because what's the point of you if you can't do the thing? So I see the need for it and the want to do it, but I want to minimize. What is it? What are we even fucking listening to? This random list. I want to minimize the scope of min-maxing at its base level. That's probably it, right? You want to control that to narrow that range just a little bit. And then you can like use loot to expand it as and when. But loot is in the hand of the GM, not in the hand of wizards, which is really good. Put rune words on a golem, now its attacks do fire damage. Yes, 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 yes. To fuck off. I think we found the reason why. I mean, it's pretty true, right? It's like, just fuck off. Just let me do the thing that I want to do. No, I'm very diplomatic when I'm running a game. You know, this is all for show. This is nothing like what I'm like in real life. But seriously, fuck off. It's very nice gift, but I want the fiends down. I want it. I want it. I want variant human, because if you don't let me have variant human, then what's the point of me playing the game? Because I can't customize my character the way I want it. I want to be this character from level 1. I want it. Just let me have it. Variant human, the worst thing to put in the game. Get the fuck out of here. Loot is in the hands of a rogue. I'm just role playing. I'm just role playing, guys, by stealing your loot. Yeah, I'm a rogue. It's my character. Let me be my character. You can't get angry at me. I think it's a core assumption of the game's design, but that doesn't mean you can't hack it. Yeah, I definitely agree. Because it definitely does. Like, combat assumes a certain level of competence. In your ability to do stuff, right? Spell casting, you kind of need to be able to cast spells. If you are a spellcaster, you need to be able to hit stuff as a fighter. So it's always a real, what is it? It's a double-edged sword. I don't know. But yeah, you have to like min-max to a certain extent. Otherwise, like, you literally are just going to drag the rest of the group down. Or just, like, what's your role in the group at that point, you know? But yeah, narrowing that scope is something that I always try and do from the start of the game. Because I don't want players to be the wonder kid from day one. You know, you want to help them grow into that through items and through loot and through quests and all that kind of stuff. Also not a hot take, but GMs refluff what your golems look like. They don't need to be human looking. Wolf golems are amazing. Oh fuck, actually that would be pretty sweet. So if a wolf golem bites you, does it do bludgeoning damage or does it do piercing damage? Whiny Giffing is. I know, right? I'm not whiny, guys. Just let me get the thing. Worst thing except warlocks. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I totally fixed warlocks. Basically, that's kind of what Darkest Dungeons Class Compendium is all about. Is just 400 pages of content to fix warlocks, but. I think they have so much potential. Like, I think they are the most interesting class in the game, in terms of fiction, because hey, you sold your soul basically for power. But then Wizards just half-assed it. They don't give you any rules to act as a patron. They don't give you any support for like punishing a warlock who doesn't do the thing that they sold their soul to do. And they just made them boring, and now they're really pushing like nice warlocks. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm just a warlock of a great old one who doesn't even know that I'm leeching its power, so it can't control me or interfere in my game. Literally what's the point of it? You might as well just say, I'm just magic and you can't stop me. Literally not what a warlock should be. Earn your call. Yeah, this is a big part of it for me. I don't care if players can't build their perfect machine at first level. It's not. I'm no interest in it whatsoever. It's also kind of like another thing that I don't really enjoy about 5e is players who stat build their character from 1 to 20 right from the get-go before the campaign has even begun. Right? They know, okay, at 5th level I'm gonna switch into this, and that's gonna unlock this ability, and then I'm gonna switch into this, and then I'm gonna pick this feat, and blum blum blum. To me, I find that that's a hugely what's the word? Artificial? Confining? Yeah, as a GM, in a way, I don't enjoy seeing players do that in my games, because they're not really interacting with the fiction or allowing the game to influence their character so much, right? Because they have it all statted out from the beginning. You know, the game really is just a transitory... it is a background feature to give them the excuse to build out this not even character, right? This mechanization that they've been planning for ages, which is a real shame. I almost exclusively randomly generate characters now, so it's like I don't really have any kind of long-term plans for characters. I'm not whiny, I just want to be... hey Kenku, how's it going? Kenku Pexu, is that piercing? I mean, it's piercing. Everyone loves them, and there's at least one in... Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Everyone loves them because, hey, Eldritch Blast is super OP. but also because the fiction for the warlock is like, oh, you could be like sinister and evil, because you sold your soul for power, kind of thing. But no one actually role plays that, and the GM has no ability to do anything with that story. So then you end up with a really boring one-note character who can only cast one spell, basically. I pondered a Celestial Warlock, but it's reskinned as having an ancient... Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, that's a really good one. I think we floated around the idea of like a draconic, an ancient dragon patron in Frosthaven, didn't we? That would be really good to kind of go back to at some point. And it's like Celestial Warlocks, even that, like a Celestial is your kind of patron. I totally get that, but it doesn't mean good, right? Like Celestial, you still have to follow rules and obligations that you may not necessarily want to do because a Celestial has a different opinion of what is good or what their objective is, right? So I think I spoke about this before, but there's a really good the Naru in World of Warcraft have kind of evolved into this in that setting, right, where it's like, hey, they represent good and order, right? But order is not necessarily they don't represent good, they represent order, and order not necessarily good, right? Could be tyrannical, could very easily be tyrannical. So it's like they have this whole kind of like dark edge to them where it's like you can go really too far with that aspect. Speaking of feats, with the Ice Maiden campaign reroll for stats, I got the equivalent of a 42-point build. Oh, yes. Okay, I mean, that's really good. Oh, random roll characters. Yes. All those feat trees. Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm totally over that kind of play. I like games where you can take an ability to specialize dual wording and then get your hand cut off. It's like, yes, yes, yes. Yes, this is like, to me, even back in 4th edition I did this very often, especially with Valiant, my first like big character, where I took feats that were not really character optimal, but a reaction to something that had happened in the story. We went through a particular scenario where Valiant was fighting with Sarge, like the dwarf fighter of the group, in a very like tough, tense battle. And because of that, in my level up that kind of followed that, I took a level in. I took the fighter multi-classing feat because I had this bond with that particular character. Even though it wasn't necessarily optimal, to me it was, oh, that's an important part of like the story, right? Is now I can take that feat to reflect the thing that happened. Because planning out your character is it's masturbatory. That's kind of what it is. If you plan out your character, you're not playing a group game, you're playing a solo game with other people. And to me, D&D is a multiplayer experience. Kind of want to do a super friendly Kenku Warlock. Oh, Jet Set Radio. Yeah, oh, was that what it was? Ah, okay. It's on random. Warlock dips are fun. Honestly, feels like it could make for... I think this is like Warlock dips are fun because they're certainly the most OP dip to take in the game, right? 2 levels of Warlock, and then boom, you've kind of got everything in that class. But yeah, if you just had like some more DM focused material on how to role play a patron or a cleric god, or a actually it's just kind of those two, isn't it? Oh, or a paladin oath, then you could do so much more with that stuff. Celestial Warlock, the right hand of God, you smite everything. Yeah, there it is. Can I see a Celestial Warlock patron being an evil angel that's turned to evil? That's one way a Celestial. Yeah, that's definitely kind of one way to do. Like, I mean, like, yeah, Celestial. Like, this is the thing. It's like too often people think Celestial means good and, you know, righteous and healing and stuff, but you know, can very easily go too far and just be like really bad. Sorry, I'm way behind on stuff. Had a character ages ago who had his party wiped. He barely survives. I'm just gonna have him demand power from a patron to get revenge. Oh yes, yes, yes. Yeah, this is perfect. You want power? You've got to go to a patron. You've got to sacrifice something. What are you going to do for that power? This is really good. Not necessarily god or a god, just a powerful magical creature. Yeah. So this to me is something that is an important thing about, like, you know, the scope of patrons, right? Is they don't have to be deified, godly, I don't know, whatever. But they just have to be powerful. Ancient dragons, there's a basis for a patron, right? Yeah, masturbatory is the word. Yeah. Hey, Pumple Loaf, how's it going? Contrived? Yeah, contrived as well. It's just, it's very, you know, I don't want to, like, get fucking, you know, wanky, basically, about, you know, the right way to play D&D and all that stuff, right? But it is a group experience, you know. It's not about your powerful wonder build, because nobody cares about the build of your character. Like, literally no one cares. You do. You are the only person at that table who has any interest in your character. I'm being a little bit facetious there, but really that's kind of what it is. Because what the group cares about is the game. So your kind of role as a player is to make your character a part of that game. And you don't do that by jerking off about your own kind of optimized character build that's going to tech into this and unlock, like, super magic whatever. Not least because those characters tend to outshine other characters who might, you know, evolve in a reactionary way to the game, right? Which means that they're even less liked by the rest of the party because they just kind of wreck the rest of the experience. It's like, I disagree that Warlock is super powerful, level 1 or 2 dip. Ranger might be good, but I don't think that denotes Warlock from being, I would say, the best 2-level dip, right? It gives you the best cantrip that scales at any level. Writing a long backstory is the role-playing equivalent. Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I've definitely fallen into this trap. Because when I came into D&D, I came into it from JRPGs, right? Which, you know, your character has this backstory and this elaborate kind of stuff or whatever. So I penned something that... actually, fuck, we might even... What was I doing? Actually, here we go. Let's see if I can find it. I think I have the original backstory for Valiant. Drop pause. Oof, okay. TNT. Characters. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Wow, 2010. Classic. Oh god, oh god. I hate looking at, like, old writing. It's like, ugh, it's so orcs. So there are two, right, here we go. Right, so we'll do the initial, right? So this was like Valiant was like the first big character that I created as for my first like 4E game that I played. It's very dear to my heart. It was a cleric of Kellenvor, basically. So it's doing some backstory. Okay, we've got like the origins and then blah blah blah. So this is kind of what I did for that original backstory thing. So he has a big kind of character defining moment here in a place called Valeheart that was like, okay, I'll do this because it might set up some stuff. And it set up a few like big bads and whatever, right? None of this came out in the game. Like none of this content happened within the game that happened because it didn't matter. You know, it was too personal. So this was like the first one that I did. Then in the sequel, we played like another campaign sometime afterwards for like the 11 to 20 experience. And for that, I ended up writing an entire... Oh, wait, no, fuck, what was this? No, this was for Arcadis. Oh, my God. Right, okay. So, Arcadis was a Warforged character that I wrote. And this was kind of when I was, like, really feeling the need to DM. Basically is what it was. You know, I wrote a backstory for this character that was basically a campaign. Right, or like the origins of it, right? It was like, okay, cool, so I've got this, I know what the arc is, you've got this robot who's kind of found and doesn't have his memory, but they also find an evil one who also doesn't have his memory, but the evil one kind of gains his memory. Oh my God, there was just like so much, it was ridiculous. So this is kind of basically when it was like, okay, now I need to start running games because I'm really pouring all that energy into... what's the word? Inefficient ways of like displaying that content. Oh wait, no, this wasn't even the Arcadis stuff. Actually, this is a different one. Oh my, there's so many, right? Arcadis's one was the Metasoul arc. Oh, there it was. Yeah, here we go. This one was kind of, okay, this was slightly reasonable. We're at like a page and a third. Okay, pretty reasonable. But these are stories that are very dear to me. It's like stuff I would love to develop into proper kind of written content, right? Or as like a little what's the word? Visual novel or something like that. Havoc, blah blah blah. Oh god, yeah, I do kind of love these things. It's like, oh sweet. But yeah, so that was that. This was like when I was like, okay, no, I need to start running games because I'm feeling confined and I need to like expand this kind of content. Anyway, sorry, where am I? I'm way behind. Role-playing patrons, in my experience, could. Down to the DM giving visions or dream sequences, or should I say always comes down to... Yeah, so that was always my experience, and that's kind of why I wrote the Rules in Class Compendium for, like, patron... what's the word? Patron punishments, basically, is what they are, because it's not enough for a patron to just say things to a player. They need to have some way of punishing a player who doesn't do what the patron has asked them to do, or commanded them to do. Without that kind of punishment system, a patron is pointless. You know, you might as well just be role-playing someone who has made no bargain whatsoever. It's basically a wizard at that point. Warlock shouldn't need 13 to charisma to be multi-class into. Yeah, that's actually, yeah, I kind of agree with this one. I mean, one, they should be using intelligence anyway, but yeah, I agree with this. Or it should be like 13 charisma to do it on your own, but if you have a story reason where you can like seek it out, maybe, like, I guess. Your first character was a cleric. Oh, Yeah, as a player, I veer towards support roles a lot. So clerics, paladins, just general support characters who inevitably kind of gravitate towards like leader roles. Back when I came into D&D, it was a very strong culture of both planning builds and writing a long backstory, and the GM planning a campaign. Yes, definitely, yeah. Yeah, this was, I mean, Solitaire in particular was like a big, test of that kind of new direction for me. In fairness, I'd kind of done some of that with 4th edition a lot, whereas like, I don't really care to think about a lot of the details of like lesser NPCs. I can just like, okay, you choose this, and this. But yeah, the new kind of direction of running games, I would not change it for the world, I think. It's hard to remember that level 1 character didn't really do anything if stuff happens. yeah. This is the trick I fall into all the time. It's like, while they're like, in between adventures, I end up writing them to have had more adventures, and it's like, oh no, fuck no, they're not like, you don't have to world build sometimes, it's just relaxation time. Just because the content isn't directly addressed in the campaign doesn't mean, oh no, that's definitely, I mean, like, I love the backstories that I kind of came up with them, or the content potential that it gave me. I think they're fun bits of content. And I'm not surprised they didn't kind of come up during the campaign at all. I don't really have a problem with that. Sometimes players can get very offended that you don't like reference stuff that is in their background. And it's like, well, sometimes it's not relevant or good. And you have to play around with that very lightly. But yeah, there is value in it. It's just, you have to be aware that it like, you have to be fine with it just being dropped. Evil Twin, very well. What is this, Knight Rider? God, if it was, then that would be fucking amazing. David Hasselhoff in a D&D game? Yes, please. Giving secret shame. Oh, there's like folders of that. No, don't look at my writing from 10 years ago. It's so shameful. Oh. Hey Genesis, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Can inform how you roleplay. Yeah, I think like Hyde and I have kind of spoken about this before. It's like backstory is good, but if it stops you or if it interferes with the story being built at the table, or if it restrains your interactions with other players, then you have a bad backstory that needs to change. Like, because again, the group is the focus, not your wonder kid like character with the troubled backstory. Poker patron went against patron. GM asked for a wisdom save or fluff. You can. Oh fuck! That's yes. This is a good system. That's a good GM. And it's good. It's good that you rolled with that as well, because a lot of players, especially when it comes to classes, are like, you can't do that. The book doesn't say the patron can hurt me or punish me, or like, you've made my character completely useless. Like, what the fuck? It's like, no. Just play the game better. Like, be more imaginative, right? Think around these complications. That's your job as the player. No character is made redundant. It's a world of magic. Think up a way around it. Hey Josa, how's it going? That's a bunch of backstory and make the campaign around it. Yes, so this is like a really this is definitely my preferred way to do it. Right, is like some backstory seeds are really good, especially when you can like find a way to weave them into the campaign and stuff. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. But when you do get that, now you have like now you've got gold. Finding ways to hook player history into a game or a campaign is really effective. But you have to be very careful how you do it, because again, there's a risk that sometimes that content is, again, masturbatory, because it, depending on how you build it, it might only apply to one or appeal to one character. So there's always this fine balance of creating content that honors one player's backstory but is also appealing or of interest to everyone else at the table. It's so difficult to get that right sometimes. My first character is the Celestial Warlock I'm playing now. Definitely. Yeah, if you're a Warlock, everyone hates you. I think that's the rule. But you accept that because you're the Warlock. Let's do the characters in campaign. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I really don't like it when players come to a game with a character already in mind, or a pre-built, just anything. Because again, this is a trap players fall into very often, where it's like you'll propose a game and you'll be like, hey, I'm really interested in playing a game in like this setting, right? I want to play in Eberron, right? And I want to do something that's focused on the day of mourning, right? I want to do it here, and I want to focus on like the Mournland, so it's going to be taking place here, and we're going to like focus on these kind of things. It's going to have this tone and this whatever. Guaranteed, you will get at least 2 of your players being like, okay, that's great, but I want to play this character with this class, and I want to use this supplement to do this and this and this. That has nothing to do with any of the stuff that you just said. They just have a thing they want to play, and whatever your campaign is, they want to plug that concept into there. And it's like, don't do that. Kind of, you know, let's build a thing together. You know, you got to let go of your preconceived notions, right? Again, super wanky. That's a large part of the reason why the random character generation rules exist in Darker Dungeons. It's not just to allow you to kind of like randomly generate stuff, but it is also to kind of encourage that at the table. And to do it as a group, right? Charlton lost his... Oh, yeah. This is, yeah, your sort of poker warlock. Oh, it's such a good one. Trusted the GM, plus I love complications. Yeah, you do, because complications are the best thing about the game. If a GM puts you in a bind, the GM, you know, generally wants you to find a way out of that bind. You just have to be creative. And it's a world of magic. There's always an option. There is always an option. You just have to think hard enough. Doing Odyssey of the Dragonlords with him. Oh, cool. So how is what's Odyssey of the Dragonlords like? I haven't read any reviews of that supplement. So yeah, what's it like playing in a kind of like Grecian setting? What is a puzzle box by design? There are lots of... Yeah, hi Shreddy, thanks for joining. Yeah, exactly this. Players will very often kind of veer towards... What's it? It's like blind... They're blindsided or... Whatever, right? They get trapped into patterns of behavior and expectation. So once you kind of put a complication that they didn't anticipate or didn't like, they will complain and be like, again, you know, my character needs this in order to do this, and if I can't do this, you've ruined the character for me. Again, often that's tied towards players who might pre-build their characters or have these adventure paths kind of mapped out, right? It's like, well, now I can't like tech into this or skill into this, which means I can't have my perfect character that I thought of for like weeks and weeks and weeks. The job of the GM is to provide challenge and to create complications, and the job of the player is to outsmart those complications, basically. And in a narrative game, you can always outsmart a complication. Those 2d6 states were fun as the Warlock gave. Yeah, this is yeah. I mean, that's perfect, right? That's like such a good role-playing kind of hook, right? Where you have to obey the letter, not necessarily the spirit, right? It's like, okay, fuck, how can I get around this? How can I liar this? That's what you do at the table. You're creating a party in a campaign premise. Yeah, well, I think like. So I don't agree with like the GM kind of creating the the premise kind of being decided at the table, because there is a certain impetus there, I think, of the GM to be like, hey, okay, like I would like to kind of tell a or like to run a game with this kind of what's the word, premise. So the GM is in responsible for creating the premise, and then, you know, players kind of either agree with that premise or suggest modifications, and that's kind of where like microscope or veils or any of that kind of stuff might come in to tweak the premise to something that's a bit more shared and whatever. But the GM's kind of role is to promote that initial premise, I would say, or it can help, right, to kickstart stuff. And it cuts out both ways. The GM doesn't get to turn up the campaign. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is again a trap that I've fallen into in my past, where it's, you know, I've story built and I kind of know where things are heading, and I know who the big bad is going to be and all that kind of stuff, which can work, but it's an adventure. It's a, what is it? At that point, we're running a D&D module, which I don't really want to do anymore. I kind of want to build the game as I'm going, because now I don't know what's going to happen in that campaign, which is so exciting. It's genuinely exciting. Like, we've spoken about this before, but running Solitaire was kind of eye-opening for me in a lot of ways, both in how, and this depends very much on your group, right? You know, you have to be very confident and comfortable in the D&D group that you're playing with, right? But my Solitaire campaign, I had no idea where the game was going, nothing planned out, no idea who the big bad was going to be or anything like that. We just kind of did episodic content, really, until we built up enough material where it's like, okay, now we can kind of see a few threads that are commonplace, and I can start tying them together, and now take advantage of this story point that's kind of come up and run with that. Okay, and now boom, we've got like a campaign. And that's basically how I'm going to run everything for the rest of time, I think. Characters in mind, but they will be highly adaptable. Yeah, I think this is it. It's like it's always helpful to have a starting premise, right? That's players and GMs need to be adaptable with the premise. Is it premise? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so this is like, I mean, you always kind of want to have some a starting concept, perhaps, or a premise, or just something to get the ball rolling with, right? Both as a player and as a GM. The trouble there is kind of when you become too attached to that premise, that it is the only thing you then have interest in. It's like, no, you kind of need to evolve the premise is probably the thing, right? It's not, we're not changing it, we're evolving it to factor in new content or new developments. I like the Odyssey setting. It feels like it was well written for the world setting so far. Crashes our GM and he does change it too much. Oh yeah, so like I check in on Crash's VODs every now and then just to kind of see what he's doing, because he's crushing the fuck out of the darker dungeons stuff. So it's like it's super useful for me to like, one, see how someone's running those modules and those rules, and two, just to watch his VODs because he's got a lot of good content. It's really good. Especially because like Crash in particular, from like is a much firmer and kind of harsher GM than I tend to be as well. Like it's really good to see someone run the dangerous rules and run them dangerously. It's really good. Doing a One Piece inspired Spelljammer. Oh, yes. Thinking of using trials for sailing and such. Oh, okay. So a trial is a breakdown of tasks. So basically, for a navigation kind of trial, you know, we just think of, okay, what are the basic tasks of sailing? You know, navigation. That's kind of a thing, right? Ship power, that's probably a thing. Supplies, rations, maybe, is that kind of a thing we need to worry about. Ship defense. So as an outline, I mean, even then, that's probably like all we kind of really need, right? So as a very light outline of like a trial for sailing, this could kind of be all you need, right? You just need 3 tasks, and you need the players to succeed in those tasks to get to the end. And depending on how well they succeed or how badly they fail, will determine how much exhaustion they get maybe at the end of the adventure or at the end of the journey. So that's probably where I'd go with it. So if it's like for like One Piece, right, navigation, it would be like setting, reading the log pose, right? Ship power, finding cola for the engines. Ship defense, punching the Sea Kings. So if you were doing a One Piece one, this is basically the kind of tasks that we're talking about, right? And then you just set the difficulty based on how difficult you want that trial to be. You can do it that way if the whole group trusts the GM to set the stage that way. Nowadays, as GM, I prefer to turn up to session 0 with almost nothing. Let's see, I want a big dragon, a big city and a dragon somewhere, but nothing more. Yeah, so I think a lot of this kind of comes with what is it? I think it's important for the GM or the intending GM to set their their preferred intent, because as a GM you might feel more comfortable running certain things or certain games or certain tones in certain settings, you know. Like, I wouldn't really want to run a cyberpunk kind of setting because I don't really, you know, maybe I should, and then I'd like get more experience. Okay, maybe scratch that point. Alright, now fuck that point. Fuck that. Next arc of my Norway campaign is modified Tomb of Annihilation, where Dark Dungeons rules the Death Cast. Yes. So this, yeah, this going all in on DD rules can be a turn-off for players. Players don't like new rules. New rules, complications. As a rule of thumb, right? As a rule of thumb. So because players don't like new rules or don't like complications that reduce their power, then Dark Dungeons as a whole can be very overwhelming and like off-putting. So something that you may want to look into or consider is having specific rules take effect in certain regions. So things like stress and dangerous magic in particular can be very easily confined to certain locations or certain regions of the map. So Tomb of Annihilation, I believe, takes place on Chult, doesn't it? So you can gate off certain regions of that as like, whoa, you might not want to go explore over there because dangerous magic is in that space. So, be aware. So now the players get to decide which rules they want to opt into and when. So it's less about you putting a blanket rule in that's like, hey, okay, now the game works in a different way, and more about, okay, if you go into this space, reality is slightly different and magic is more dangerous. Or if you go here, there are some weird eldritch shit in there that is going to like stress the fuck out of you. So worry about that dungeon. So that, in my experience, has kind of been a more successful way to integrate DD to, what's the word? Reticent players, or players who have expectations of character power. Thanks, that's what I was thinking. Something that everyone... Yeah, exactly, yeah. So basically, when you're like looking at these kind of things, when you're trying to think of the tasks for trials, you're just looking for basic activities that players can do as a team. What's the rune words from the side? So rune words were a way of assigning feats to items using runes that players acquire through the game. So if players collect enough of these runes, assemble them in the right way, and put them on an item, that item gains a feat like Athlete or Durable or Sentinel or something like that. Survival dice, has that been... Actually, fuck no, I completely forgot to talk about survival dice. Oh my god. Shit. What time are we at? 12. Am I going to have time to talk about survival dice? So this... Hang on, let me just bring up the Reddit. So this is something that I saw on... Yeah, survival resource dice, right? Yeah, here we go. Let me zoom in. So here we go. So on the Dark Dungeons, someone was kind of like talking about survival dice and using those as a way of abstracting rations, kind of in the same way as we do with arrows and ammunition and that kind of stuff in Darker Dungeons. Which is a pretty cool thing. Like, using dice to represent stuff with usage dice is a really fun mechanic. I'm really in favour of them because you can do some really cool stuff with it. And players like to roll dice, and that's good. And usage dice create this sense of kind of unease, because you're never quite sure about how much of the thing you have left. There's no guarantees, right? So that's why using them for potions as well, or like flasks, very, very useful and effective, because it hides how much of that thing you have left. You know, are you taking the final swig? You don't know. You got to roll the dice and find out. So there's kind of there are a few possibilities of using a usage dice system for survival in the context of Darker Dungeons, because that mechanic can be, while it's very, simulation friendly and very involved, it is also very involved, which can kind of be a bit off-putting, right? There's bookkeeping that you kind of have to do, and so on and so on and so on, which combined with everything else in Darker Dungeons can be a little bit much if you go all in and you don't have an automated system to kind of take care of that for you. So what you can do, or something that people are surprised, it's like, okay, maybe we can just use survival dice so we don't have to worry so much about rations or conditions or any of that kind of stuff. The big problem generally with survival dice is we aren't reducing the amount of bookkeeping. So the main problem with an issue like survival conditions in Darker Dungeons is that it's a player simulation system. So the amount of bookkeeping is dependent on the number of players you have, and each player has to keep track of 3 conditions, and they have to do it each time, and so on and so on. So there's kind of like a lot of bookkeeping there to do on the group overall. So the only real way to solve this is to move away from player conditions and more to the party condition. And that's something that we kind of can use to simplify things a lot more, because now we're thinking about the condition of the party overall. That's where survival dice might kind of come in. Because we have these sort of abstract conditions now, and we can really start to cut down on the bookkeeping because it's no longer a player thing, it's a party thing. But I haven't really had an opportunity to sit down and think about how to do that mechanically, because doing simulation on individual players for things like conditions, pretty straightforward. We all know what's the word? Relevant, or we know what the simulation is there. But once we're talking about simulating an abstract, then the mechanics get a bit tricky about like who rolls when, and like when are we using a party resource, and what happens if the party gains lots more water, right? Blah blah blah. There's all these kind of like things. So I need to think really about like the long-term implications of something like survival dice, because it's a very tricky system. Survival generally one of the most tricky kind of things to do in a game, especially in a world of magic, because magic fixes everything. Anyway, what time are we at? We're at 12, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna log off, I think, because I can, and it's midnight, and I'm gonna go do that. So, yay. As I mentioned, this week I'm probably only going to be streaming once a week, because I've got tons of stuff that I need to do and finish writing and just get done. So I'm going to kind of spend the rest of this month focusing on Darker Dungeons 4.0, various bug tweaks and fixes that I need to be making. And I need to start on Foundry and some Foundry work so that I can get the new character sheet started, basically. Because everyone's talking about Foundry now. That's the new hot thing. So I need to do some Foundry character sheet work, and I need to look at integrating the Monster Maker, or creating an export for the Monster Maker into the app. I also need to start like putting these VODs onto YouTube. That's going to be a thing that I need to start doing this month. I need to figure out that pipeline. There's tons of stuff to do, but we'll get there. Maybe one day, if we're lucky. So, Behemoth, you made it! Yay! See you later, because I'm just about to log off. Classic Behemoth. Hope you had a good day. Oh wait, no, it's morning for you, right? Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to log off and go to bed, and that's it, really. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Lovely to chat as always. Dark Dungeons 4.0 is Dread. Yeah, so Dread is going to be the new thing for 4.0. That's going to be it. There's a couple of other like tweaks that I just need to make some of the content, but Dread is going to be the new thing for 4.0, and then we'll see how that kind of gets consumed. And then I can do some coding projects work. Yay, everyone loves that. I live in Spain with full-on pain. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Lovely to chat as always. Should be a stream next Sunday. And we'll all have a lovely catch-up then, I think. Yeah, have a good week, and I'll speak to you all again then. Good night, everyone. Bye.